This video is a memoir about my experience with Tom Clancy's The Division. I'm going to go over the memories I've had with this game, from what the game is about, and the environment and setting, because those really stood out to me, as well as the problem it's faced, and an overview of my thoughts. First, let's talk about the gameplay. One of the interesting mechanics of the game was building your own character, customizing your abilities and your weapons. This allowed a unique experience to the player. You can choose the abilities and skill sets that allow you to be aggressive, passive, healing, or so forth. Gear 2 was of vital importance. Depending on your gear, this also affected the way your character played out. Depending on the weapons and the talents that it had, it really created a unique atmosphere that made it enjoyable. But because of this, farming was a big aspect of the game. You would get better gear, you would go to a vendor, get blueprints to try to fit the kind of build and playstyle you want. And then this led to the crafting station. Once you bought the blueprint, you can go craft the item, hoping that it would give you unique talents that would fit your playstyle. Because of needing to craft, you need crafting materials. So players would have to go farming for materials such as this, whether it be an electronic store for electronic parts, or just running around the world looking for toolboxes, gun parts, fabric, whatever it is that you needed to build your blueprints. Then there's also farming enemies, looking for that next best loot. The Division has a very interesting story and a very great atmosphere. The premise is that a pandemic has occurred and the game takes place in New York City, where areas are quarantined because of the pandemic. People are homeless, there's plenty of just dead body trash, areas are contaminated, destruction's going all around. Various factions have ideas how to take control of it. People are very fidgety and nervous, they're starving, they'll even look to rats to eating. It's a wonderful atmosphere. So the Division was full of bugs and glitches due to the faulty coding in the game. Oftentimes you wouldn't be able to reload your gun, fire a gun, the floor would disappear. Other times players couldn't be revived, and it caused a lot of headaches for many players. For instance, falling to the floor and then dying and having to restart a mission because of it. There's all kinds of issues for it. Even the AIs wouldn't follow the game script as they warped the walls, and bugs just increased one after the other. Here, players would take advantage of the game's bugging and code writing by warping through walls and taking advantage of missions and being able to see and experience things the game wouldn't normally allow you to.
Reading first wave aid.
Police Academy was known for exploiting. Many players would exploit this mission. One of the issues with the game is high-end items, especially at this time, weren't very available, and that's what everyone wanted, it's what you needed. Here they're using mobile cover to work through a door. Because of the lack of proper gear, players would farm Police Academy over and over, hoping for a high-end item, and if not, they'd get a lot of superior items, which is the purple. And players would just use this exploit to beat the mission in minutes rather than a half hour to an hour, allowing it repeated farming in such a short time, allowing players to take advantage of it.
God damn it. The extra.
And even before Police Academy was out, another exploit players would take advantage of was farming a name boss on the world map named Bullet King. In the same principle, they would farm him over and over and over again as he dropped loot and items, hoping for high end, because the gear in the system is so messed up. Even today, they added high end more often, but it's still messed up. And this led to greater controversy during the game's first incursion. Because high-end gear and proper gear was so difficult to come by, it made completing incursion next to impossible for many players. So they would use exploits or glitches due to the game's coding to try to beat the mission more often. And even if those were slightly patched, players would look for other ways to beat the incursion. The game's coding was a serious problem at this time, not just for advantages, but because of the glitches and problems it caused for players. I find the Dark Zone to be one of the better mechanics of the Division. I often go solo in Dark Zone, as you can see here, but do take opportunity to go in with friends. I enjoy the suspense, having a constant look over your shoulder and be paranoid to survive.
Extraction operation complete.
I've gone rogue and hunted them. Going rogue was not the funnest experience for me. It becomes a long battle of survival. If you can survive, the rewards pays off. You have to buckle down and hope your group can survive the onslaught of other players gunning for you. I have yet to survive a manhunt, but maybe someday. Personally, I prefer to be the quiet dog, just looking for scraps, not wanting to bother other players and annoyed when they bother me. Of course, that doesn't always stop the occasional run-in with the other players. Sometimes I die, sometimes I end up taking care of business. Dark Zone becomes fun because of the suspense. Here, I am looking at the location of rogue agents, trying to establish what direction they're going so I can avoid them. I'll check constantly and worry often. Even if they're not rogue, if I know of their location, like when someone is extracting, I'll avoid the area like the plague. It becomes a game of cat and mouse. I'm the mouse and I try to see how much cheese I can get while sneaking. The Dark Zone is definitely the highlight. Overall, I enjoyed the game. I put in 143 hours since the making of this video and have earned all the achievements. This game is very fun, especially when you have a group to play with. However, the game relies too much on farming and grinding. As a result, the experience wears out rather fast. Combine that with the game's consistent problems of coding issues, glitches, and server instability, the game doesn't seem to have a long life to it. I don't blame any player who puts the game down after the first 50 hours into it. It's a game I look back on with both positive experience and negative ones. This has been my Division experience.